1. Hegseth's unilateral move, weapon shipments to Ukraine paused without White House knowledge. 2. U.S. Patriot missile crisis, only 25% stock left for Pentagon plans. 1. Hegseth's unilateral move, weapon shipments to Ukraine paused without White House knowledge. Here's a revelation that's shaking Washington to its core. A top Pentagon official allegedly pulled the plug on critical weapons shipments to Ukraine without even whispering to the White House first. This isn't just a bureaucratic snafu, it's a storm of confusion, conflicting priorities, and unanswered questions about who truly calls the shots in the Trump administration. But here's where it gets controversial. Was this a rogue move by a junior official, or a calculated gamble to shift U.S. military focus away from Europe? Let's unpack the chaos and the chess moves behind it. According to 5 well-informed sources, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth authorized a sudden pause on Ukrainian arms shipments last week without notifying senior White House officials. This left the administration scrambling to explain the decision to Congress, the Ukrainian government, and even its own national security team. President Donald Trump, when pressed during a cabinet meeting, dodged accountability with a classic Trumpian deflection. "I don't know, why don't you tell me?" His response? A vague promise to keep sending defensive weapons as if the pause had never happened. This isn't Hegseth's first misstep. Sources reveal this was the second time this year he unilaterally halted shipments, echoing a February incident that was quickly reversed. The pattern? Trump publicly reinstates the aid, but the Pentagon's internal messaging remains muddled. For example, after learning about the latest pause, Trump ordered the resumption of critical interceptor missiles for Ukraine's air defense systems, munitions already en route from Poland. Yet the Pentagon didn't officially announce the reversal until hours after Trump's public plea for aid. And this is the part most people miss: the White House's cover story doesn't add up. Pentagon officials claim the pause was part of a capability review to align military aid with U.S. defense priorities, but Trump insists he never ordered it. Enter Elbridge Colby, the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, who has long advocated for scaling back Ukraine aid in favor of a Europe-first strategy. Colby's push to prioritize domestic stockpiles over foreign aid reportedly influenced the decision, despite Trump's recent hardline stance against Russian President Vladimir Putin, whom he now openly calls out for throwing bulls **T. On peace talks. Here's the twist: Congress wasn't in the loop either. Pentagon officials have been defending the pause to lawmakers by citing stockpile shortages, but sources confirm there's no credible evidence of imminent weapon shortages. One insider quipped, Congress would work with DoD if they saw real data, but where's the proof? Meanwhile, the European officials' blunt assessment adds fuel to the fire. The pause genuinely did not originate with Trump, suggesting a rogue element in the Pentagon is rewriting foreign policy on the fly. So, what's next? Will Trump's America First rhetoric clash with his actions as he continues to support Ukraine? Is Hegseth's lack of coordination a symptom of a larger problem in the administration's leadership structure? And most importantly, should military aid decisions ever be made without a full interagency review? We want to hear your take. Drop a comment and let's debate this. Are the Pentagon's unilateral moves a necessary evil for national security or a dangerous overreach? The stakes are high and the answers aren't simple. But one thing's clear: this isn't just about Ukraine. It's about who's really steering the ship in Washington and whether anyone can trust the compass. 2. U.S. Patriot missile crisis, only 25% stock left for Pentagon plans. The U.S. is dangerously low on Patriot missile interceptors, with only 25% of the required stockpiles available to support military operations across the globe. A shocking shortfall that has sparked urgent debates about national security priorities. But here's where it gets controversial. This crisis isn't just about Ukraine. It's a ticking time bomb for U.S. military readiness in multiple conflict zones. Imagine this: the very weapons meant to protect American bases in the Middle East and deter threats from Iran are being stretched thin, leaving critical gaps in defense capabilities. And this is the part most people miss: the shortage isn't just a logistical hiccup, it's a direct consequence of years of military aid shipments to Ukraine which have drained resources faster than they can be replenished. The situation escalated when the Trump administration temporarily halted missile transfers to Ukraine, citing concerns that the Pentagon's stockpiles were dangerously low. Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg authorized the pause, warning that the U.S. could face operational risks if munitions weren't prioritized for domestic needs. But the decision wasn't just about numbers, it was a reflection of a deeper tension: how to balance immediate conflicts like Ukraine with long-term strategic threats such as a potential war with China. Here's the kicker: the Pentagon's Global Munitions Tracker, a system designed to monitor minimum stock levels for military operations, revealed that critical weapons like Patriot missiles had been below required thresholds for years. This isn't a new problem, it's been simmering since the Biden administration began sending aid to Ukraine. However, the situation worsened when the U.S. deployed more Patriot systems to the Middle East to counter Iranian threats and support Israel. Then came the recent escalation. After Trump ordered airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, the U.S. fired nearly 30 Patriot missiles to intercept retaliatory strikes, further depleting reserves. This depletion led to a controversial internal memo from Elbridge Colby, the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, which suggested ways to conserve weapons. But here's the twist: Colby's recommendations didn't have the authority to halt shipments alone. The final decision rested with Feinberg, who reportedly prioritized replenishing U.S. stockpiles over continuing aid to Ukraine. Critics argue this decision ignores the immediate needs of a country fighting for survival, while supporters claim it's a necessary step to avoid a broader military crisis. Ukraine, meanwhile, is in a dire spot. With Russia launching its largest aerial assault yet, the nation has limited options to acquire even basic weapons. Defense contractors can't rush orders as the Pentagon takes precedence in procurement, leaving Ukraine to wait years for new supplies. Trump's recent pivot to resume some aid without confirming whether Patriot missiles would be included has raised more questions than answers. But let's not forget the bigger picture: the U.S. produces only 600 Patriot missiles annually, while Iran alone has over 1,000 ballistic missiles that could target American bases if tensions flare. Meanwhile, Ukraine has received around 2,000 Stinger missiles, a stockpile equivalent to 2.5 years of U.S. production that are now being repurposed for domestic drone defense. This raises a critical question: should the U.S. prioritize defending against China over supporting Ukraine, or is the current approach risking both? The answer isn't clear, but the stakes are higher than ever. As Trump's administration navigates these choices, one thing is certain: the world is watching, and the consequences could reshape global security for decades.